Boom.
Welcome, everybody, to Next Gen Leadership, brought to you by Momentum Builder. I am your host, Jimmy Ryan, and we have Sasha and Gino and Sasha, live at the Accelerate conference, brought to you by Total Expert. And what we're going to talk about today is, look, this is Next Gen Leadership. This is for leaders, branch managers, and people that aspire to be better leaders, or branch managers and really they just want to advance their career and help grow people from the bottom up. Today we're going to be talking about investing in yourself and networking and the importance of that and how you can leverage that as a leader to become better. And I want to open us up with well, hey guys, what's up? How's Accelerate? How's it going?
Tell us a little bit about it, Sasha. You've been here longer than I have. I just popped in last night.
I have. And we talked about that actually before we hopped on the call, that whether you're going to go to an event for a day or for the whole thing, which I'm kind of one of those, like if I can afford the time and space, I'll just go for the whole thing, which I have been since Sunday. I might kill myself by Thursday, but for now we're okay. But the most important part is just making the most of it. And this event's really unique. They do a really great job of, yes, you're going to learn about their product and you're going to hear stories from their customers, but they're talking a lot about what's relevant in the industry regardless. And I love the content. I love the speakers. We had Brent Gleason do a keynote. He's a former Navy SEAL yesterday. And like those stories always hit home. Sue Woodard was on stage this morning. That woman's energy. Oh my gosh. It's just so infectious.
You know what it is too about her? She's just so natural.
So natural.
Right. So in the world that we're living in right now, with the world of authenticity, that's someone that just comes across and there's not an inauthentic bone in her body. It just comes out completely natural.
Yeah.
And that's really like what it takes. We're talking about leadership. You got to be yourself.
Yeah.
If you're not
100%.
yourself, how can you teach someone else to be the best version of themselves? Now, I've been talking a lot about peak performance. So no, don't just be yourself. Be the best version of yourself, especially when you come to these events.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of mistakes, right? I came to these events to party and drink because I love that and it's fun. But at the same time, you think about the relationships that you make at these places. Yeah. And they're some of the most important relationships I've had in my life is at events.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Some of my best friends I've met at events, and these, I call them my best friends. It's my extended mortgage family, but like I talk to some of these people more than I talk to my own family in some cases, and it's like you miss that opportunity by not attending events. And you're talking about being genuine and being real. And actually here, going back to having a party. So look, I did too. I think a lot of people start going to events to really have that party type of an atmosphere. But I mean, that's part of networking in a lot of senses, but you're also going there to learn and to elevate. And you mentioned Sue Woodard. I mean, my God, how you're right. She's just she's the same person online as she is offline, and but to become that, you kind of have to put yourself in that type of an environment. So talk about investing in yourself. What is it? What does going to Accelerate? What does going to Momentum Builder? What does going to an event? How is that investing in yourself? Are you just going to take a bunch of notes and like be absorbing it? Like what is like the value in it?
I think every different event that you go to, I'm going to say pro tip, go with intention. Don't just wing it. Go and say, I am going to achieve these 3 things at this event. And if you do, then the rest of the time you can party and hang out and do whatever you want.
Right.
But make sure that you have some intent on what you're trying to achieve when you go to an event. Otherwise, it's easy to just have fun, hang out with your friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you might go home and say, oh, I should have done this and I should have done that. If you spend maybe 30 minutes preparing for an event, not a lot of time, just 30 minutes preparing for an event. I want to meet with this person. I want to meet with this person. I want to make sure I see this person. And I want to make sure I listen to this particular speaker because it's a speaker that's important to me. Like, look, they have like something stupid, like 40 sessions over the 4 days here.
Insane.
It's crazy. You can't be in all of them.
Yeah.
So you have to pick the ones that are relevant to you in the moment that you're in right now. Like, what is that big thing everybody's talking about? Meet people where they are.
Yes.
We have to meet our consumers where they are. And then when you go to an event, meet the speakers where you are. They don't know where you are. You have to choose that.
Yeah.
So, but from a leadership standpoint, I'm a leader, I'm leading this group. I'm going to go here. What should my intention be? Like, if I am going to pick between 40 people, who do I pick and why? And what's going to get the most bang for the buck from a leadership standpoint?
I mean, I think you're looking at it from both perspectives of how am I going to fill my own cup? And then how am I going to take back what I learn and fill my people's cup? So what Gino said is perfect. You've got to mix in, like, look at the agenda, figure out what are the sessions where I'm going to learn something I don't know that I can bring back to my team. Where are the sessions where right now I need to hear a story from somebody like a Brent Gleason to help me put it in perspective that the things I worry about aren't that big of a deal when it comes to grand scheme of life. Yes, they matter. Yes, they're hard, but it's not life and death, right? So you need that balance of like the things that I need to help me feel like get back up. I'm not going to fail no matter how hard it is, no matter how many times I get knocked down. But then you also go into the sessions and you get the tips and you get the tricks and you learn more things to educate and empower your team. So I think it's both and finding it, striking a balance.
So there is something, I mean, you touched on something that's really important. It's like, and it goes back into that peak performance thing. It just, everything kind of circles back to that because
right.
I have to be the best version of me first. Otherwise I can't be a good leader. You have to be the best version of you first. And so for me, the other thing that I wanted to mention was don't forget to read books. You know, books are great.
Absolutely.
And the thing that I've been doing in the last 2 years that I think is different is people tend to move on to new books and new books and new books. I started reading books from college. I started reading books from early in my career. I started reading old books that I enjoyed because I'm in a different place today. And so because I'm in a different place and I'm more mature and I've learned all these things over the last decade, when I read the book now, The Magic of Thinking Big, by the way, is one of my favorite books.
I love that book.
And I just reread it. And it had so much more impact now than it did when I was in my second year of college. I didn't know shit when I was in my second year of college.
Well, right.
So it had so much more impact now. And it's like, so I'm going to say like reboot your reading and take these books that you've loved before and read them again. I read Atomic Habits again. And I just listened to Mr. Schmooze on the airplane, even though I had already read it before, because I recommended it to Noah Zimmerman and he tagged me and he's like, oh man, that was such a great recommendation. Great book. And I'm like, you know what? It's a short read, 2.5 hours. I have a 3-hour flight. I'm going to knock it out. And it was really good. And I was listening to it on the plane and I thought of Barry Habib.
Yeah.
You know, it was the first person that came to mind, was he's Mr. Schmooze.
Now, your favorite book is The Inside Job.
Oh, that's right.
I agree
the Inside Job.
I'd hold it up.
Book that walks with me everywhere I go. Like I put it in my backpack. I take it to my room. I take it. I still haven't made it through.
Until I record an Audible, he's not going to read my book.
I told her that on day one. I said, I'll record it for you because it has to be on Audible.
So look, invest in yourself, go to the events. And unless you invest in yourself and you're the best version of yourself, you can't properly lead. Is there any tidbit that you guys have taken? I mean, Gino, you're leading a big team, you know, anything that perked your ears while you're at Accelerate. I mean, if you're being intentional, you're looking at these people, you're selecting the right people. Anything that you like, a big thing that you were like, oh my God, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this. I need to change this. Anything that stood out to you?
I think sometimes you come to these events and you need to not overcomplicate it. You need to actually simplify it. And even just listening to Sue Woodard this morning, I think it was super simple, right? She was, you know what the whole talk was about? Tell stories.
Yeah.
Be human.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Tell your story. Make sure your LOs, so this is the thing I'm going to take back. Make sure your LOs tell their story and listen to your customers' stories. So stories, just think about stories. It's a simple concept. Yeah. But sometimes we just forget how important stories are to us as humans. It's the oldest thing since all time, right? I mean, it's religions are built on stories. All of history is built on stories. So I think that just that one nugget, I can build a whole week's worth of content based on just talking about stories.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are scared to be vulnerable, transparent, and you got to figure out what works for you. You want to be authentic. But her second point beyond just telling stories was leverage emotion in your story and connect with people at a human level. And it's like, we've heard this 1,000 times, but it's never old to hear it again and remind you that everyone's walking a different path. We never know what someone's going through. When you share even a small part that's personal about your story, someone feels more connected to you, and now you have their attention, and everything you say thereafter is going to land much more in a rich manner than it would have if you wouldn't have started with that connection.
Yeah, it's kind of like go ahead.
Well, I think with leadership, it's not one size fits all. You know, you might have one person that's here and one person that's there. You might tell a different story for those people, but to achieve the same results. hey, you got to make your calls. Hey, you got to meet with your realtors. Hey, you got to do whatever it is. Well, hey, I remember when I was in this same boat. This is my story of what I did and how I overcame where you're at. But the different person, they might have a different story that they need to hear that's based on your experience, but it achieves the same result. Call your leads, meet with your realtors, call your past client database, all that type of stuff that we all hear every time. But it doesn't resonate unless you attach that story and that emotion to it. I mean, 100%, but add to it, Gino.
Yeah, I'm thinking that also, you know, and you're a master interviewer, and, you know, Don and I did it on the radio for 10 years. Ask for the stories from your team.
I love that she shared that.
Ask for the stories, because sometimes people don't share. You need to pull it out of them a little bit. And so what you were just saying right now triggered in my head. When you're sitting with someone and you're trying to inspire them to be better, ask them, have you ever encountered a challenge like this before? And of course they'll say yes, most of the time.
Yeah.
And I say, how did you overcome it that time?
Yeah.
And then so I'm not telling them what to do or how to do it, because that never works. I'm trying to have it come from within. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
When things come from within, that's when magic happens.
Yep.
When you do something that's not because you want to do it or because you feel like you should do it or you're passionate about it, then it doesn't come out right. So I think asking of our team, where are they at? Where are they trying to go? What have they felt the challenges were in the past? How have they overcome them before? And do we think we can apply the same lessons from last time to do it again?
Yeah. The other
I
thing,
think it's
that I would say is I've met a few people along the way that struggle to be at events like this. They're not you. They're not Gino. They're not me. They don't have that natural affinity for being out in a crowd. They're not extroverted. They don't get the energy from it. Or maybe they are, but they're just a little scared. And there's nothing wrong with asking somebody that you trust that's going to the same event to be kind of your pal, right? And like, obviously you don't want to monopolize someone's entire time, but you can say, hey, this is not my forte and I could really use some support. Could I spend the networking hour with you? And can I walk around with you, right? Or can you introduce me to these 3 people and help me start that conversation? Because once I start it, I can pitch, I can engage, but I just am not great at going up and starting the conversation. And so knowing that if you're not naturally like the 3 of us and it doesn't come so easy, not that we don't work at it still, we do still work at it, like takes
100%.
courage to go sit down next to folks and drum up a conversation. But the point is you can ask for that support and you can find a way to strengthen a muscle that might be a little bit harder for you. And I think you're going to walk away with so much value.
Yeah. And the other thing is you just mentioned a great point. I call those anchors.
Yeah.
Right. So have an anchor at the event, have someone that grounds you, someone you trust, somewhere where you can go as a safe zone. So, I mean, and again, yes, we happen to be very extroverted, but people don't understand about me. If I walk into a room and I don't know anybody, I shut down. I start looking around. And if I don't recognize any faces, that first contact isn't easy.
Yeah.
Even for us that are extroverted, it's still not easy. So I walked in yesterday and the first person I saw was Dave Savage.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah.
So that was it, you know, and then I saw KP and then I saw you and that was like, that's it. I was immediately like I had been at the event for 3 days.
Right. 100%.
I think we should do a little Dave Savage moment. Can we do it? Yeah. All right.
Does he do this on it? No, we're gonna
all
all
like that
fist bump.
boxing
Pound it
thing.
out,
We're gonna all fist bump.
boxing thing, whatever.
We got a fist bump. Okay, so it's interesting you say that because I am an extrovert, but I'm also an introvert in a lot of ways. And I think anybody, and here I interviewed Ryan Grant about this. He told me that he went to an open house one time with like the #1 agent in his area, got all suited up, ready to go. He showed up to it, got right to the front, drove right to the driveway, and then he put his car in reverse and he drove away, you know? And this is Ryan Grant. He's good looking, successful. He has all the things. But he has that. And me too. I've gone to networking events where I pulled up and I drove away, you know? So I think it's just building that muscle and it's building the confidence. I think that you have to do it. And if you're going to be a leader and you're going to be working with people, well, it's best to practice that in an event environment. And then, by the way, everybody there does mortgages. Like you have the relation. I mean, like,
in common.
you have so many things in common that other people that you meet on a daily basis aren't ever going to actually be able to relate to you on. Like, nobody's going to be able to relate to you about how tough the market is from an inventory, interest rate, margin compression. I mean, we talk about all these nerd level things where, like, you actually get the chance to talk about that with people, but you only really get that opportunity is if you open up the conversation. And look, we're talking about investing in yourself, but this is also about networking. And what tips do you have? Okay, I'm a leader. I want to get better at this. I know I need to put myself out there. I'm a little bit introverted. I'm a little bit extroverted. Whatever. I'm scared. I don't have that confidence. What gets somebody over that level so that they can get to a point where they're going to start talking to people and network?
I got this one because it's pretty easy, actually. It's shockingly easy in today's world. Is reach out to someone you want to spend time with via LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm going to the Total Expert Accelerate conference. Are you? It's that simple.
Yeah.
Right.
They say, yeah, I am actually. Oh, awesome. I'll see you there. What days are you going to be there? Blah, blah, blah. So now when you get here, that bond is already ready, primed, and done deal. So to me, that's
a good hack.
Yeah.
It's a super easy thing. And guess what happens to the ones like I reached out to about 20 people before I came here. About half of them are not here. So guess what I did? I said, man, I'm so sorry I'm not going to see you, but I'll hit you up when I'm back.
Right.
And we'll connect again. So it's not only about networking with the people that are at the event. It's try to network with the people you want to network with, period. Use the event as an excuse to communicate.
Right.
I would add, I mean, it's a precursor, but like show up. Like everything is just about showing up. Once you're there, once you're in the room, and even in that moment, you know, and I've been where Ryan's been, where I've driven up to something and literally been like, nope, I'm out. And if we can find the courage to go in, even just for 5 or 10 minutes and say, you know what, I'm going to go in for 5 or 10 minutes. If I naturally feel better, which most of the time we do because we like the human connection, I'm going to stay. If I don't, I'm going to exit, but at least I showed up, right? And no knock on Ryan for that one, because I've literally done the same thing. And then the other side of it is ask questions about, like, make it about them, right? Like, you'll have a chance to tell your story. You'll have a chance to have a good, robust conversation, but always start with being curious and caring about genuinely who the other person is and what they're up to, and just ask questions.
There's also another pro tip in this. When you walk into that room full of strangers, there will always be a super extrovert.
Yeah.
There's always 1 or 2 super extroverts.
Bobby Joe.
They're easy to find, right?
Yeah.
And so approach that person because they're looking to talk to people.
Yeah.
So
Right.
go to that super extrovert and be like, hi, I'm Sasha.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, oh, hey, blah, 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 blah. Hey, do you know this person? Do you know? And once you do that, you're connected, right? Because that person is Mr. Schmooze. That person is the connected person. All you have to do is connect with that person.
100%. And look, I would correlate this. Doing networking well is really, I agree with you, Sasha. It's just showing up. That's like 90% of it. And then you'll find a conversation to have. But I related a lot to call reluctance. And what solves call reluctance? Well, it's picking up the phone.
Calling.
And calling, you know. But what gets you over that edge? Well, it's confidence. But the thing is that when you first work out, you're not going to be confident. And by the way, you have no muscles. Your muscles are weak. You haven't worked out, but your muscles grow. And with time, you get better at it. And all of a sudden, the call reluctance time becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And then you just figure out that's like, look, I just got to throw myself into this. And then I got to build the muscles as I go. And then, yeah, if you want to be interesting, be interested.
Yes.
Talk to people and be interested in their story, because people like to talk about themselves. And I think that a pro tip is don't try to go there to tell your story. Go there to try to learn theirs, because then you're going to find something that's just like, oh my God, you struggled through this? I struggled through the same thing. And then all of a sudden you have a real bond that's not just superficial with, I mean, frankly, with BS mortgage stuff. You know, that we all talk about too much. All right, we're coming up on 19 minutes. We really want to try to keep this at 20. I think any final tips to a next gen leader that wants to get better at networking and knows they need to invest in themselves?
Bring your team to the event. Do it with your team. When you do things as a community, when you do things as a group, then everybody continues to learn and share all the things that they've learned and how. So it creates more bonding internally with your team. So don't go it alone. And guess what happens if you show up with your team? That event reluctance is gone because your team's there, right? Everybody knows somebody, and then you're always with your friends.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that's the other thing is, share the event with your friends, bring your team.
And you're leading by example in doing so. So comes full circle.
I love this, guys. Pro tip, jam-packed, lots of great advice here. And I guess, I don't know if we want to be promoting anything momentum builder. I would probably leave that to Sasha or Gino. But look, this is next gen leadership. We want to help people that are aspiring leaders, people that are leaders, get better, get to that next level. And I think today is just what a great example of that. Couple little things. This is not like rocket science. This is not lifting heavy weights. These are little tiny tasks and little kind of changes that you can do to be a better leader, which is what we're all about. And I want to thank.
One thing I do want to just say is we want to hear from you. So tell us in the comments what you want to hear about next. What challenges are you experiencing? And that'll tell us exactly what we need to talk about on our next couple of series.
Yeah, 100%. And one last pro tip, because I forgot and I should have said it, is just smile. Do you know how long and far a smile goes? We are in 100%. Such a hard world. We're in our phones. We're in our heads. When you lift up your head, you make eye contact with anyone and you just smile, right? Like that. I mean, it goes such a long way and we need more of it. So you're worried about being at an event, just pick up your head, look someone in the eyes and just smile.
Boom.
And look, you have no idea who you are inspiring. Absolutely. You have no idea who you are affecting, and you might be having a terrible day, but that one moment where you just turned it on, you inspired somebody and maybe changed their day. And maybe you created a lifelong relationship. Maybe you changed somebody's life. You got to turn it on. You got to show up. You got to shake hands. And guys, I love it. This has been a great call. I appreciate everybody for joining us. Please do a comment, whatever you want to ask us, anything. Let's do it. Let's get it done. And I want to thank Sasha. Thank Gino. Appreciate you guys.
Jimmy. Really appreciate it.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you.